England take on Mexico in tonight's pre-World Cup friendly, and England boss Fabio Capello has said he plans to rest Chelsea's players in order to give them a break after playing in the FA Cup final a week ago. So that's John Terry, Ashley Cole, Frank Lampard and Joe Cole, as well as Portsmouth David James, all set to miss tonight's games. Several players who are presumably set to be key for England's World Cup campaign. I just wondered what you felt about that.
I think that's a good idea because having played last week, they were put through their paces against Portsmouth. I know they absolutely killed them in that game, but you've got to take, you're going to have a risk with the players if you do play your best squad. It's only a friendly as well, by losing some of your key players, look at the injury scares already that's happened over the past few weeks. So I think it's a good idea for Capello to rest those players.
But it could also be seen as something of a lost opportunity for Joe Cole and David James as well, Portsmouth keeper, to make their case for inclusion in the final squad. There are other friendlies coming up, so maybe they can make their case there. But especially for Joe Cole, he's had quite a frustrating season.
Absolutely. I mean, since his injury, he's lost his place in his Chelsea squad. He was England's man on that left-hand side at the 2006 World Cup. You know, remember that goal against Sweden, the absolute belter that he scored. So, it's if I was Joe Cole, I'd be very, very frustrated. I'd be itching to play on that Wembley pitch tonight, stake my claim for the England squad as well. And the thing about David James as well, Capello is uncertain. I think who his number one is going to be. I mean, for Rob Green, Joe Hart and David James.
Well, we're hearing that both Joe Hart and Rob Green are expected to get 45 minutes each in goal. So it seems pretty clear that Capello's using this as an opportunity to try different things out, which is the point of a friendly anyway. It makes good sense. But yeah, at the same time, like David James must be kind of thinking, man, like
I mean, I do feel for David James, but I could read into this and think, is he the number one now that he's not playing tonight? Because ideally you'd want to get, if you're trying out goalkeepers for 45 minutes each, that tells me that he's giving them a test to say, okay then, if you stand up to the task tonight, you might be in the squad, you might be starting as the number one. That just tells me that he might just be England's number one for the World Cup.
Okay. We're also hearing that Capello is toying with the idea of a new formation, like he's going for the 4-4-1-1 with Steven Gerrard playing behind striker Wayne Rooney. What do you think of that?
I think that's a good idea because Rooney has been playing up front on his own for Man United all season. He's scored so many goals this season as well, player of the season. Gerrard always plays behind Fernando Torres at Liverpool in similar formation to what they're playing. So I think it's a good idea. Plus it's a friendly as well. You want to try things out, it's better to do it in the friendlies rather than in the first minute of your opening World Cup match.
Yeah, I mean, as well as different formation, it seems like we're going to be seeing a lot of different players as well. Jamie Carragher's making his comeback from self-imposed exile. Also the excellent but fragile Ledley King, he may be making an appearance. So I'm quite excited. Like, I think it's going to be a good chance to see players who we're not used to see turn out for England, like see if they can actually do it, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, you always get that in the friendlies, don't you? You say, oh, who are the form players? We know Capello likes to pick players on form. I think he's got his 11 penciled down now. He's just giving a few other players the chance, like you opened up by saying that, you know, he's going to rest a few of the Chelsea players as well. So he knows what his ideal 11 is, and he will just be giving players the chance to fill in the gaps, to say, if we get an injury before the World Cup, are you good enough to come in? Yes, I do think you are good enough to come in. And so he'll take it from there.
Okay, great. Another nugget of news here. We heard that Capello said that it was too early to be practicing taking penalties, and he suggested there wasn't a great deal of merit in penalty practice anyway, since taking a penalty when there's no pressure on is a relatively straightforward process. So I just wonder what you felt about that, because it's been such a problem for England playing previous World Cups.
I mean, no matter how hard England have tried to practice penalties, the last two competitions they've been knocked out on penalties. I think it's one of those things that someone like Capello, it's more of a mental issue rather than a technique issue. You could be the best penalty taker in the world, you could have a 100% record, but when it comes to a World Cup, let's just say semi-final for example, and you're winning, you're going to step up to take the winning penalty and you miss. No matter how good you are, it's all about nerves, it's all about the mental strength as well. And I think Capello is one of those managers who can get into the mindset of a player, and he needs to say to the England players, basically, you know, mentally believe that you're going to score the penalties, believe that we are not rubbish at penalty shootouts, that we are good enough to take penalties and good enough to progress in a penalty shootout.
So not so much the physical training, but the mental aspect.
I believe it has to be the mental aspect. I mean, it's any sport you take part in.
Yeah.
It's mentally, that's what it is straight away.
No, I absolutely agree. Like, but I'm just wondering how we can get our players to believe.
Well, I think Capella would be the man to.
You think?
Better than Sven, it's better than McLaren as well. You know, if they ever went to come to that point to do it, he's got an idea of what to do, and
sure.
So I think England would be ready for that.
Okay, well, enough about England now. What do you make of this Mexican team?
I think they're pretty strong. I mean, they had a sort of indifferent qualifying campaign. They sacked Sven. Sven was sacked after having a poor result, and they brought in Javier Aguirre, and he's done really, really well.
Right.
They're unbeaten in their last 5 international games, but tonight's game is really the first stern test for them against quality opposition. Right. They've got South Africa, Uruguay, and France in their group. So I would sort of say that England is on a par maybe with France. Obviously, you know, some people might disagree with me on that, but I do think in terms of quality of the opposition, it's their first real test in their last 5 games to really stake their claim and feel that they can possibly come out of their group. Yeah, and I think they can actually come out of their group.
Great. So what's your predictions for the score tonight? How do you think England are going to get on?
I think no matter how, I mean, Mexico is not really the best of opposition. I think England, I'm probably looking at about, I'll maybe say 3-1, something like that. But in terms of the key players for Mexico, somebody who might have a good game tonight, obviously you've got Carlos Vela for Arsenal, but I think the key man would be Javier Hernandez, who's reportedly signed a new contract, signed a deal with Manchester United for £10 million. Yeah. So it'd be the first chance for Man United fans and for fans of the Premier League to see what he really is like.
Yeah. Okay, well, looking forward to it.
Yep.
I'm going to say 4-1.